Hi there, I'm going to be doing a tutorial and it's not going to be a short one unfortunately because preparing a cake for decoration isn't a slow process and I don't think people realise how much actually goes into preparing the cake for decoration. I'm wanting to give bakers the confidence to get in the kitchen, make a cake, whether it's for a birthday party, anniversary, or just for the hell of it really, and give them the confidence to do it, knowing that they're going to have quite a professional look and quite a professional finish. And these are the stages I go through. I'm not trained, I haven't been to any lessons, I'm self-taught, but this is how I do it, and I do get consistent results. So I have got my cake here, I've got my buttercream. I do have a tutorial on how to make yummy vanilla buttercream, so check that out. I've got raspberry sauce here, but you can use jam, any flavour, but this is what I'm using today. I've got a cake smoother, rolling pin. This is a fondant cutter, but a pizza cutter is actually better, to be honest, and a turntable. If you're wanting to make cakes a regular pastime, I would invest in one, especially if you're covering it with fondant, because it's it allows you the ability to turn the cake around when you're using it, and when you're making a cake and covering it, you need to be around all sides, and this allows you to turn it. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cold, but I didn't really want to make this tutorial because it is in depth and it is long, so please bear with me. But I wanted to show you every stage, including the messy stages. I don't want to make it look all so easy, like I keep seeing these very fast tutorials on social media, and I keep thinking, yeah right, it's that easy, is it? But this just breaks it down and shows you the stages and what you have to go through. But it is worth it in the end, especially if you're doing it for a special occasion. So I'm going to prepare the next stage and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I put my cake board on the cake stand, the turntable, and this is my cake board. I've actually painted a map. I'm doing a pirate themed cake for a 30th birthday, and I haven't painted this area. Oh, I'm so lazy, but the cake is going there, so I didn't really need to paint it. So with that in mind, I'm going to place some jam in this section, and that's where the cake will sit, and it just holds the cake on there. So I'm going to do that now. This is a raspberry sauce, but it's the same principle. And I've placed it down, and this will just allow the cake to sit in a fixed position. You can use royal icing, and I do sometimes if I'm doing a wedding cake, but this is a birthday cake. It's just one tier, and jam seems to do the trick. So that's what I'm using. So here we go, move that out of the way, sorry about that, and in comes the cake, okay, like so. This is the first layer. It's been in the fridge, not for too long. I'm just going to trim it, and I'm using a serrated knife, any knife that will, and I'm just going to take off. I'm not taking off the skin, I'm trying to level it. It's already quite level, but I'm wanting it as level as I can before I start applying it on the board, because this is going to be a finished article. If you don't like mess, please don't take up cake decorating, because boy is it messy, especially when you're doing this stage. Now I'm quite happy with this. Okay, and I'm just basically using the flat of the knife like so, going across like so, to get it as level. That's the word I'm looking for, not smooth, level. I can do trimming once it's all together, but if you start as you mean to go on, it's messy, I'm sorry, and I hate it, I know, but if you keep the cling film on, you can keep most of the crumbs inside, not all of them, but most of them. So I'm going to move that to the side and bring the cake board in, like so, and I'm going to put the first layer on. Okay, okay, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. So it may need some more. Now this is edible paint, so don't worry, I haven't used normal paint. So I'm just going to again use my knife. Now there doesn't seem to be anything coming off there, so I take it it's as level as it's going to be. So we're going to add the jam or the sauce. This is, in this one is actually raspberry sauce, but you can use jam. Now less is more. Start off with a smaller amount. Okay, don't overload it. It's getting the balance right. Don't overload it. And what I'm doing is I'm using my palette knife to smooth it on. Don't overload it because it will push out and move the rest of the layers. So you're wanting it more as a glue and to add flavour, but not to the point where it's pushing out of the sides, because once you cover it with fondant, it'll start to bulge, and I've seen it many times on cakes. So the key is just to get the balance right. Enough jam for taste, but not too much jam that will cause problems. Okay, now I think that's a nice even layer of jam, and then I move that out of the way and I start on my second layer. Okay, it's again covered in cling film. Apologies, because I'm going to have to take all of this out, but I like to cover them well because I want them moist and soft and delicious. Using the cling film I've used, it kind of protects and allows you to use it for the crumbs. And again, I'm trying to find a levelness, if that's a word. And by just stroking it across the top, it will take off, aha, see? It will take off any excess. Alright, I know it looks ugly. It won't be when it's finished. And you keep going. Now I'm going to keep on going off camera and come back when I'm ready to apply the buttercream. Okay, I'm ready, or as ready as I'll ever be. I'm now at the point where I can add the buttercream, and the same principle applies. You just don't want too much, but enough for the flavour, but not enough, not too much where it will basically cause it to come out of the sides. Alright, it's alright at this stage because I'm, as you'll see, I will crumb coat this. Now what crumb coating means, when you've applied the buttercream evenly is the word, now you just keep turning. Try not to drag. Once it starts dragging, apply more buttercream because it'll rip off the sponge. But crumb coating means you apply the buttercream to the outside of the cake until it's smooth, and that helps the fondant adhere and gives a more professional finish. So I'm quite happy with that amount of buttercream. I don't want any more. I know that doesn't seem a lot, but it actually it is, because it's quite thick, this buttercream. So how to apply it: you lift it in your hand, bring it over to the cake and down. Alright, and that's basically it. And I'm going to put jam on this section. Now I'm going to repeat that process, and once it's all finished I'll come back to show you what to do once I've filled the third layer with jam and buttercream. I'll be back soon. Okay, I've filled the top layer with jam and buttercream, and placed the sponge on the top. Now that's the cake finished with regards to the filling. This is, although it doesn't look it probably on camera, this is actually an 8-inch cake, but it's about 3.5 to 4 inches high. It's just the board is oversized, which is the look I was going for. This is also a messy section. I'm going to now try and trim it, because I want them to be even. So using the knife, I don't know, I hope this shows up, but I'm using it flat, and I'm just going to start trimming and going around like this. If you don't like mess, don't take up this as a hobby, because it's dreadful when it comes to crumbs. And there's a lot of tidying up in between stages too. I'm going around the back of the cake now, as you can see, because I mean, you can do it in different ways, but this is my way, and this is how I'm doing it, and this is how I'm showing you. So you're basically going around the cake, trimming off any bumps and lumps you'll get, and it's my trick, as it were, on how to get an even finish when you're covering. You can at this stage pop it back in the fridge to chill again. I'm not. I'm just going to take off the excess. I'll brush all of the main rubbish off when it's done, but brushing off the crumbs. Oh dear. Anybody with problems with mess are gonna cringe, but that's what you have to do, especially if you're just wanting that professional finish. Now the top, I'm quite happy with the top. You can go over it if you wish, just to double check that it's level. See, a little bit's coming off there, as you can see. But now I'm going to cover it with buttercream. So this is the remaining buttercream that I had left over. Now you can use a large palette knife, there's different ways, but I use this one. It's teeny and I like it. I've always used a small palette knife, and it's what you get used to. There's no reason behind it. So I'm going to start with the sides. Alright, so placing the buttercream, and it's basically like bricklaying, filling in the gaps to start with, and I like this actual part, the filling of the crumb coating side. Some people hate this section. I don't. I like it. I rather like it. And you're kind of filling in. And because I'm using the turntable, it allows me the luxury of not having to be everywhere. Alright, I can do the back without me reaching over. This is just the beginning, unfortunately. I don't think people realise there's a lot to it. So I've filled in, or filling in, the gaps. Yeah. And like so. Where each layer joins, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Because sometimes I know what I'm talking about. I just hope you do. And then again, we're going over with a larger amount this time. Now, some people put loads and loads of buttercream on this and make it inches thick, and that's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't. For the simple reason, for my reason is, if the climate is humid or very warm, I'm lucky because it's October, but if it's humid, you'll find that there is a possibility that the cake will, in theory, melt from the inside, and the cake will look distorted. So I don't overload with buttercream, and I still get a professional result. Now I'm going to continue going around the outside of the cake off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've done that, and now I'm going to put some on the top. So, okay, and again, this is more at in the beginning. I'm pushing it all the way to the edge. Now don't worry, it goes over, that's quite okay, because I don't mind that. Just try not to drag it. If it feels like it's dragging, add more buttercream. Alright? Alright. So you're getting the swing, yeah? This is something you will get better at. It's all to do with practice. It's not something you'll master immediately, and you'll have your own technique and learning your own way. But this is just to show you how I do it, and then you can perfect it how you want, okay? How you would do it. Now, scrape the excess off. Now, as you can see, whoo, it's a little bit lumpy and it's fallen over. Do not worry, okay? Using it, and scrape off the excess. Again, scrape off the excess. Again, scrape off the excess. Go all the way around, and we're back to the beginning. Alright, now as you can see, there's a lip formed, and you want to remove that. So, using the knife, we're going to go in this kind of motion, like a flip. So, take it off, rub off the excess, take it off, rub off the excess. And again, it's something you will get better at with practice, okay? It's not something you will immediately be, oh yeah, that's amazing. I've managed that. All right. So at this point, I'm quite happy with the coverage. Just nip that. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put it in the fridge, and this will firm up the buttercream, and that will help me sort out any imperfections when I bring it back out. Now I'm going to put it in the fridge for about 10 minutes, 10 to 15, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, it's been in the fridge for about 10 minutes, and I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. It might need a little bit of tweaking. I'm just trying to see, maybe possibly here. So I'm adding some more buttercream. Okay, just at that point. And again, flip motion. Taking it off. But I'm happy. You can spend hours putting more layers on, and I know that that's what happens in a lot of cake making, but I don't do it like that. And as I say, I'm not saying you have to do it my way, or I don't want people sending me a message saying you're doing it wrong. I don't actually think there's a wrong or right way. It's just learning from experience, and I really don't see the need to put, you know, an inch of buttercream on a cake on the outside, but each to their own. Someone has asked me, or a few people actually have asked me, how much does it cost to make a cake? And obviously the prices vary depending on what size. But for example, an 8-inch cake like this with 3 layers, which is a good height, and the cake board will set you back about £25. That's without any extra fondant that you might need for embellishments. And one thing you will learn about cake decorating, there is always a lot of waste. So you have to kind of cost that in. But on average, £25 for the board and the cake mixture fondant, and that's bearing in mind that you're using good products to get a professional look. Now, if you're using packet mixers, I'm not sure if it's that much cheaper, but I do know that the time element is cut by quite some time. But I tend to use homemade cakes. But please, if you think that you want to cut that extra stress out, go ahead and buy them, because you can get some good products out there. And I don't know what the cost would be, but I know that making a homemade cake for ingredients and the board, now bearing in mind that the board size will up the price if it's a larger board. Like for example, in this instance, this would probably set you back £3 just for the board. But an 8-inch cake on a 10-inch board, you're talking about £25 to make, and that's it. Now, if you're using lots of embellishments, then that ups it ever so slightly. But between 25 and 30, then I suppose you could say that a cake would cost to make, and people kind of tut at that. But go out and make one. See what your bill says when you go to the checkout. So I'm going to now, I'm happy with that. I'm not actually going to add any more buttercream, and I'm going to roll out my fondant, and I'm going to show you how to cover the cake. I'll be right back. Okay, I've rolled out the fondant, and I'm ready now to cover the cake. It's really important at this stage that you don't overload your board with icing sugar, or your work surface, sorry. And it's also important to work quickly. So as this is live coming at you, there's no retakes because there isn't another cake. I'm going to have to work pretty quickly, and you're just going to have to run with me on this. So I'm going to lift up the fondant using my rolling pin. It's larger than my rolling pin, but not to worry too much. I'm going to bring the cake in, hopefully. I'm going to lift up. I'm going to bring the cake board in, hopefully, so that you can see me. And I'm going to find the middle and roll it using the rolling pin to roll it over. And then very quickly I'm going to use my smoother, and we're going to smooth off the top first. Alright, so I'm just brushing this on. Sometimes at this stage you can get air holes or air pockets. Don't worry about them, I'll show you if I get any how to deal with them. And I'm using my hand and the fondant to find its home. So this is what you do. Use your hand, lifting the fondant as you go, smoothing as you go, smoothing as you go. And you try, sorry if my hand's in the way, it's unfortunate but it's necessary. This is a cake that I need to be right. Alright, so I've covered it. I'm using my hands now to keep it in place. Okay, now we need to trim it, and I sometimes do this. I just push it in a little. Alright, just push it in a little before I cut it. Now I'm using this, it's a fondant cutter, but to be honest with you, a pizza cutter does the same. And using the edge, we can go over it again once it's off. I just need this layer off. The reason I need this off is because it's going to be pulling the cake and I don't want it to. Alright, it's going to be pulling it. It's going to be pulling the fondant down and I don't want that to happen. So using the smoother again, we start again. And this time on the edge. Now you can buy various smoothers. There's lots of them out there. But to be honest, this one does me fine. You can use 3 or 4 different types of smoothers. Now there's an air pocket in the top, I can see it. I don't know if you can, but I can. And we're smoothing it away. Now to get rid of it, she says, you can use a cocktail stick, and under normal circumstances I would be using one, but as I haven't got one at hand, I'm going to use a knife with a point. I'm just going to push that in for the air to come out, and don't worry too much about that because I'll be putting embellishments on the top. Now I've covered it, I just want to polish it. So I'm not saying it wants to look like glass, but it needs to look smooth is the word. And now bear in mind this is the front. And making cakes, one of the things I've learned, and it's nothing to do with technique of how to prepare a cake to cover it, but one of the main things is how to hide and disguise errors or imperfections and how to hide them well. That's the key and the success of a cake. If you know it's there, hide it. And there are ways, believe me. There are lots of ways to hide a cake, cake's imperfections. So I've covered the cake now. Now, yes, the bottom's not perfect, but I'll be hiding that. Another one of my tricks, as you can see, the bottom's not perfect, which it's not. But I'm going to be, for this one, I'm actually putting a piece of rope around the base, so you're not actually going to see the join at the bottom. Some people use ribbon. I like to use edible products for my embellishments. Everything I use is usually edible, that's just my style. But you can use a ribbon to hide that, and cake decorators do it all the time. So I'm going to keep on polishing that. But that's basically it from start to finish. It's not the end because obviously I have to decorate the pirate cake, but it is the covering of the cake. and it's finished now. I'm happy. I'll probably do a little bit more polishing off camera. Polishing's nothing. It's getting, it's smooth and it's quite high, which I like. It's high and airtight. So now that it's airtight, the cake will or should last for a week. I tend to do my cakes last minute if they're sponge, because I do like the cake to be as moist and as fresh as possible. But once it's airtight, a week, it'll last a week definitely. So thanks for watching. I'm glad it didn't turn into a disaster, because obviously this is live. Maybe not for you, but it is for me. There's no second chances, and it's actually turned out okay. So thanks for your time, and there'll be more tutorials coming soon. Bye.